operations with functions. This first slide, I don't need you to write anything down in your notebook besides what the topic is. What this slide is talking about is some operations that you can do with functions. You can add functions together. You can subtract functions. You can multiply functions. You can divide functions. Be careful on that last one when you divide. You need to tell us what the domain is, the domain restrictions essentially. You're looking at that denominator. What would make that denominator 0, undefined? So there's going to be a domain restriction there. So there's the first slide, just telling you what some of the operations that we're going to be working with are. Next slide, I don't need you to write it down. We'll just kind of work on it together so you're kind of watching. So here's two functions, the blue function and the red function. And we want you to add the two functions together. So when you see f plus g inside of a function, it means add the functions together. So I'm going to add the red and the blue together and then simplify. Well, same color. Now we're going to simplify that equation. What simplifies? Anything cancel? What kind of things can cancel?
The 7x squared.
Yeah, the negative 7x squared and the plus 7x squared will cancel. Then we put it in standard form, so our highest term here is the 12x. And then a 2 and the negative 5 combine to give us negative 3. Okay, next example is a continuation. If I asked you for f plus g of 2, we've already done the f plus g. What is the of 2 telling me to do?
Put the 2 in for x.
Very good. Substitute the 2 in for x. So we've already done the f plus g. Now you just substitute 2 in wherever there's an x. So 12 times 2 minus 3, which is 24, minus 3 is 21. Question C. Mistakes happen with question C. Again, you don't need to write this question down either. Mistakes happen when you forget to distribute that subtraction sign, so distributing a negative through to the entire second parentheses. So we're going to subtract the red and the blue function. So the blue function is your f of x. Then we're going to subtract it. Now before we continue here, what do we have to do? The negative in front of that red function. Distribute it. So we're going to distribute that negative through to all the terms in that second parentheses. So now we have distribute, distribute. Now let's combine like terms. Where are my like terms at? What's my first pair of like terms?
Negative 7x squared.
Negative 7x squared and negative 7x squared to combine to negative 14x squared. Anything goes with the 12x? Nope. And then my last pairs, my 2 and my 5, become 7. Okay, next question. question said, I'd say you probably don't need to write down either. We're going to multiply these two functions together. Sometimes they do it with like a little dot. Sometimes they'll just do it as f, g. They mean the same thing. Multiply the two functions together. So let's go ahead and multiply these two functions. So when I multiply these two functions, what do I need to do? What method do we call? FOIL. Yep, you have a binomial times a binomial, so we FOIL. So we're going to distribute that 3x squared to both terms in the red. So 3x squared times 5x is 15x squared. 3x squared times negative 2 is negative, that's cubed, negative 6x squared. There's first and outside. We'll distribute those, the 1 through. So now we have 5x and negative 2. Any terms alike there? Anything to combine together? Nope, it's already in standard form, we're done. Part B, what's part B telling us to do of this question? What's f, g of 3? Plug in 3 for x. We've already done the multiplying, now just substitute 3 in wherever there's an x. So we're going to substitute 3 here, 3 there, and 3 there. Be very careful when you do your simplifying your orders of operations. So we're substituting 3 in wherever there's an x. So we're going to do our exponents first. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Then 3 times 3, 9. So we've taken care of our exponents. Now we are multiplying. So multiply 15 times 27. What's 15 times 27? Fifteen times 27. What is it? 405. Okay, so 405. 6 times 9. 6 times 9.
54.
Okay, don't forget the negative out in front there. 5 times 3. 15. And then minus 2. Plug it in your calculator. 405. Minus 54. Plus 15. Minus 2. What do we get? Then what did you get? What'd you get?
364.
364?
That's what I get.
Okay, do you agree? All right, last one on this slide. I don't need you to write it down. The next slide you will. So now what is it telling us to do as our operation? What's our operation now? Division. We're going to divide the two functions. So our red function and blue function. So we want to take f and divide by g. So we're going to put in 3x squared in the numerator. Is that plus 1? Over 5x minus 2. And then identify if you can reduce it down. In this case, there's no factoring to worry about to have to cancel. And then the domain. What would be the domain restriction? What can x not be? So off to the side, the domain restriction, 5x minus 2 cannot be a 0. So 5x equals 2, so x cannot be 2/5. If we substitute 2/5 in, that would make that denominator 0. I'm going to stop the recording here, we'll pick back up.